rock music playing when you walk in, and people are waving their hands and singing, and I'm like, oh, this reminds me of some of the churches that I had been to growing up, when my folks became really, really into, speaking in tongues and that type of thing, which I had seen a lot of. So I was really getting into this church, really liked it. And I remember this one sermon when we were at this church. The Pope passed, and the minister at the time said, he held a prayer at the beginning of our church service for how he put it, our Catholic brothers and sisters. And I thought, that's pretty cool that he did that. So he called them brothers and sisters. Maybe there isn't so much different there. If this guy, who I really like and respect, and I felt was teaching a lot of truth, called them brothers and sisters, maybe it's not so bad. It was funny. Now I look back on it, I know God was speaking to me through that message. So shortly after that, my wife was pushing again. Look, our daughters are going to this school. It would be great to be part of this community, so we could go to church together. They would be going to school. Will you please try it? Will you please try it? And I'm like, gosh, I just, I really can't. And I started pulling out all the things. Look, you're not supposed to worship Mary. You're not supposed to pray to other people, other than God and Jesus. And you don't need an intermediate. I don't need to tell my sins to a priest, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. And she did this without me knowing. She went to the priest at the church, Father Dan Greenleaf, and asked him if he would sit with me and answer my questions. So she set up this appointment and then came to me and said, I got this appointment for you to ask all your questions. And if he answers them, can we try the church? And I said, oh my gosh. All right, fine. So I took a couple of afternoons and I wrote down every Protestant question I could possibly think of, all the stuff. I was on websites looking things up and just like, what do I not remember? Oh, yeah. So I had this pages of notes. So I went and I sat down, and my wife was there. It was myself, my wife, and Father Dan Greenleaf. And wonderful guy, seemed just like a regular Joe. We sat down and we started talking, and at first he was a little apprehensive, and I said, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I have no disrespect for the Catholic Church. I need to know. My wife is asking me. She wants to come here. I don't see how we align. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, but I'm not going to ask them with respect. So please don't think that I'm here to poke a finger at you. That's not my intention. My wife was very adamant that I make sure that I not come across adversarial in this, There was a spirit of charity that I was there, so because he was taking time out of his day. Well, we sat there. God bless Father Dan Greenleaf. Got to be one of the most patient people I've ever met in my life, because we sat there for 4 hours. It was, you raise your eyebrow. I'm sure he was like, God, get me some coffee, because I peppered him with every Protestant question I could possibly think of. And he handled them with grace and love, and he answered all these concerns, the praying to Mary and worshiping the saints and confession and all this stuff. And every question I had, he would pull out the Bible and say, well, this is what it says, and here's what we believe as Catholics. And he'd answer the question. I said, okay. So I'd write it down. All right, well, that kind of makes some sense. And that kind of makes some sense. And this kind of makes some sense. At the end of it, I'm like, geez, I don't really see a whole heck of a lot that would keep me from seeing things your way. This is interesting. I'm really dumbfounded here. And then he stopped and he says, so you're Protestant, and you've probably heard the term sola scriptura. I'm like, oh yeah, Bible alone, absolutely. If the Bible teaches it's got to be true. He says, okay, well, I believe that the Bible's true too. Which Bible do you read? And I said, well, NIV. I said, NIV. He goes, okay, why? I'm not really sure why. And he goes, who put the Bible together? And he started giving me some historical stuff. So he started to question me a little bit and push back gently on why I believed what I believed. And I couldn't answer him. I didn't have any good answers. I just believed it because that's what my parents had taught me, So I was given the best answer that I could. It was eye-opening. to say the least. And I really began to question why I thought what I thought, and had to do some soul searching after that. We left the meeting. It was nice, and I agreed to try out the Catholic Church, because that's what I did. I ran around and tried churches out. So
you're at least going to give the Catholic Church an equal try that you've
Exactly.
given all these others now, at least.
And that's really the way my wife put it. She said, we've tried all of these, and it's only fair that you do this, because this marriage is both of us, right? And I said yes. And she was right. She kept pushing me in the right direction, gently, with love and lots of patience. God, that girl's got some patience. But she kept gently pushing, and at the right time, when it was God's time, I guess I was ready. So